Hello everyone, welcome along to Sports Pizza for a brand new episode, and we're definitely delighted to have you back here for a great conversation as far as all the big sporting events across the world. The last couple of days has been quite interesting, one of which has been the tournament on the African continent, one of which is the African Nations Championship currently being held in Algeria. Well, it's come to an end pretty much, and we did see what a grand final. Madagascar, of course, also getting a hand on the trophy, and of course Senegal and Algeria having an interesting time at the final. Touch base with NPFL match day 6, which is hitting up at the moment, and we're seeing teams getting very excited to possibly clinch a playoff place going into that massive playoff for who would win the NPFL title. What about what happens in the Premier League? Well, what a big weekend for the Arsenal. Positives and negatives, but lots of that to look forward to on the show right here on Sports Pizza. We'll take a break. Now when we come back, we'll get to know the guys in the studio and of course get into the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Pizza. Delighted to have you join us every time we come back here on every week. Definitely great to have Falana Adeni. Good to have you here because you think about the last week and all the activities that happened, one of which was the Chan tournament. NPFL is a mainstay nowadays, so it's great to have our football in the local league back. We'll touch base with the Premier League and, of course, some interesting Italian Serie A action. So there's certainly lots to chop up. So we're going to pick up the pace here on the show. You can actually be a part of the show as well on social media, Sports Pizza across all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, on Facebook as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. But first things first, good to have you here.
Always a pleasure to be around the UB. I mean, to talk sports. That's what we love to do.
Great stuff. Then let's start off in quick succession, actually, with the African Nations Championship, which took place in Algeria. A tournament that had its own diplomatic issues. Defending champions Morocco couldn't quite be a part of the tournament due to their diplomatic problems with Algeria. But notwithstanding, tournaments got into full swing, and we saw a couple of new surprises, one of which were Niger Republic and Madagascar. Let's talk about both of them, because you think about both teams that are not necessarily heavyweights on the continent, but that's what this tournament brings to the table. It allows the so-called minnows have a chance at an international tournament. And Madagascar, you know, we're debutants here, won 3rd place.
Definitely, and I knew one of Madagascar or Niger were going to get there, and maybe not the silver or the gold, but maybe the bronze. And that happened. You know, I'm very sure they'll go home with their heads at that. Hey, we came to this tournament, no one gave us a chance, but at the end of the day, we ended up 3rd and 4th respectively, talking about Madagascar and Niger Republic. And just like you said, tournaments like this afford minnows, so-called minnows, the chance to get their hands on, you know, to get recognized, you know, by the big nations when it comes to football. And it's a tournament, you know, based for players in Africa. And for them to have done that, it means there's something going on in their league. Talking about Madagascar and the Niger league, there's something going on. Maybe we should start focusing on that particular league right now, this particular league, and say that okay, they are also doing very well. They might not be the big nations when it comes to the big boys, you know, playing on the continent. But when you talk about Chan, I think going forward, this tournament would have given them that mindset that we can also rub shoulders with people. Maybe not when the big boys are around, but when it comes to the Chan tournament itself, we can rub shoulders, and maybe, just maybe, the teams can still rub shoulders later, you know, with the big teams.
Well, you think about Niger Republic also debutants at the tournament, Madagascar debutants eventually winning the 3rd place, which is Nigeria's traditional place as far as the main AFCON goes. But let's pick up the pace now, go on to the final, which saw Algeria defending host nation and Senegal, who are defending champions of the African Cup of Nations, the main events, so to speak. But is it a surprise that you've seen them in the final and eventually they've won it? They weren't the most flamboyant team all tournaments. They conceded lots of goals, scored, you know, very few goals. On the other hand, Algeria had a 5-0 beating of Niger Republic in the semi-final. So a bit of a shocker there that the home nation scoring lots of goals. They had the top scorer in the team. So it's a very huge task for Senegal to go ahead and win that tournament. They now hold all 3 major football tournaments on the African continent. The Chan tournament, the Africa Cup of Nations and the beach soccer tournaments. That is a remarkable feat for any football federation, isn't it?
Definitely. And it tells you one thing, football development in Senegal, it's on the rise, whether we like it or not. And they are the #1 team in Africa. And it showed, on Sunday. Yeah, they're playing against the host nation. They know they were going to get an hostile environment in the stadium. But I'm very sure they prepared for that very well. And they took advantage of the fact that the main team won against the North African team in the final on penalties, talking about the AFCON tournament last year. So maybe that played at the back of the mind of the team also, that we can also do the same thing now, because it ended 5-4 penalties this time around. And I think we're witnessing a great Senegalese football nation right now, away from the Ella Diouf era. And this time around, I think they are going to dominate African football for years to come.
You think about that incredible 2002 World Cup squad, and the coach, we talked about Ali Usisi, who won the major tournament, as a player, as a coach. Well, guess what's happened here? The B team is also coached by Papa Thor, who was also part of the 2002 incredible squad. So what they've done here is they've gone back to the drawing board and looked at their football and said, look, we're going to trust our local guys to take us forward. So this is not just another win. It's not coincidental. It is strategic and it's well executed from Senegal's point of view.
They planned for it and they are reaping the benefit. They didn't just put anybody in any position. It's a strategy and it's working for, just like you said, they have the AFCON with them, their CHAN tournament, they have the beach soccer. It's only a matter of time before we see their female team also dominating on the continent. This is what happens when you put the right people in the right place. You plan very well. You're not just playing for now, you're playing for the future, and you're going to reap the benefit, and they're reaping it already. It's a shame that they're going to dominate African football for years to come. I'm very, very sure of that on the back of what I saw.
Hopefully not for Senegal. What a record to have at the moment. Interestingly, holding all three major football tournaments on the African continent, one of which is the beach soccer tournament, and of course the Africa Cup of Nations and the African Nations Championship, all won by local coaches. What a remarkable feat. So congrats to Senegal, and of course commiserations to the host nation, Algeria. Let's pick up the pace now. Let's get away from all things African football continental. Let's touch base with the local football here in the country. It's good to see that for 6 consecutive weeks we have had local league action, which, interestingly, we've just spoken about the CHAN, which is a tournament for local based players. So it's good to see the league is gaining momentum. A couple of games on TV here and there. It's not where it's supposed to be, but it's gradually getting better. Talk to me about the results that shocked you this weekend. One of which I've got to say is the Abia Warriors against Dakada United. Dakada FC, I beg your pardon. 4 goals to 2 away from home. Remarkable results. But you think about Bendel Insurance, who also seen their 100% record come to an end when you thought they would actually win, at home. So it's a very interesting league at the moment, and I'm not quite sure many can complain about the score lines, because it feels like when you put on your best show, you can actually win.
Definitely, when you put on your best show, you can actually win. And someone came up with a giveaway on social media, just before the Bender Insurance and Gombe results. No one predicted Gombe results to get at least a draw in that game. Not alone stopping Bender Insurance from scoring. And Imade, finally, someone has been able to stop Imade from scoring. Someone has been able to stop Bender Insurance from picking maximum point. And on their own ground, for a team that has picked 3 away wins this season and 2 home wins, you probably feel that you can sleep and say, by the time I wake up, I should probably be looking at a 3-0 or 4-0 result against a Gombe United that are not really doing very well this season. But I think that the NPFL this season has shown to us that if you sleep, if you snooze, you're going to lose. And maybe Venezuela did not sleep, and maybe they snoozed a bit, and that was why Gombe United were able to get that point. I think Gombe will go back to their base with their heads that, hey, we were able to stop the league leaders and the most informed team, whatever like it on the Venezuela, the most informed team in the league. We were able to stop them from scoring. But the bigger news, for the weekend was Dakar picking away points, you know, and not just picking away points, scoring 4 goals away from home against Abia Warriors. That is something that you should commend. And I mean, that's the biggest news this weekend.
More or less, Abia Warriors winning 4 goals away, scoring 4 goals away from home to the Kada, you mean?
I beg your pardon, Abia Warriors scoring 4 goals away from home. I think that's the biggest result this weekend in the NPFL, whether you like it or not. Scoring 4 goals away from home in NPFL
it's not a
I mean,
big
getting an away victory, it's a difficult one to talk about in the NPFL, but scoring 4 goals, that's something. And it showed that, because we're now seeing some of these games on TV, so we can also criticize the referee when there's a poor officiating from referees.
Yeah.
I think that is playing at the mindset of everyone right now. We are seeing clean and fair football game in Nigeria professional football, and it's to the advantage of everyone.
Yeah.
It's to the advantage of everyone.
Well, speaking of which, Bender Insurance getting their first draw this season, having won 5 on the bounce, 15 points from a possible 15, and of course being stopped in their tracks by, guess who? Gombe United. But Bender Insurance, not to worry, still retain their top spots on the table in Group A. Gombe United, given that victory, or it looked like a victory actually, a draw on 7th on the table. But touch base with Eyimba, who won their game against El Kanemi Warriors. Now, the only team in the top 3 to win this weekend, which would be good for Coach Finidi George. It's important they stay there, you know, and keep that momentum going, because Akwa United are breathing down their necks. Akwa United actually won their game 2-1 against Remo Stars, who are also a very good team. So things are getting very tight at that top, even though it's 6 match days, but lots to look forward to, isn't it?
Definitely, Akwa United, Remo Stars, Eyimba, and Bender Insurance on the same side of the draw. It's a difficult one. Everyone's slugged it for the playoff at the end of the season. I'm afraid one of the big names going to drop. I don't want it to be Eyimba, because I don't know. I kind of like Eyimba when it comes to the Nigerian league, but I'm afraid if their away from doesn't improve. And I think Remo Stars also now are falling to that bracket of not really playing very well away from home. So I think the points you pick away from home will be very crucial. Will be very crucial to qualifying for the playoff.
Well, you think about Group A of the Bridge League format, from positions 3 to 6, all the teams they're getting all victories. The Shooting Stars also getting a victory as well. We'll take another break on the show now. When we come back, we'll switch gears to some European stuff, where Arsenal had it bitter and sweet last weekend. Welcome back to the Sports Bits. I trust you're having a great time wherever you're watching us from. We're delighted, always a pleasure to have you join us here on the show. Adeli Falana is still here with me, yours truly, Yubi, doing of it. Let's switch gears to some European stuff. And if you've missed the first part of the show, you can actually catch it on social media, some snippets, or across all social media platforms where Sports Pizza, and of course subscribe to the YouTube page as well at Sports Pizza. A bittersweet week for Arsenal. Look, it started off with tears, but ended, with a bit of a smile. Look, it's things like this that make you know that, or make you feel like the writing's on the wall, and it kind of feels like Arsenal, it's their title to lose, because every time they drop a point, the closest chasers, the City, haven't quite been able to gain that momentum. Liverpool, let's not talk about them, because they're far in the rear there. Chelsea, of course, not quite there. So United, of course, got a win this weekend, but they won't be too worried. Arsenal haven't lost that game to Everton.
Definitely, but before the game against Tottenham Arsenal were a bit worried that Man City wins and they cut the gap to just 2 points. But after what Tottenham did, doing one for their long-term neighbours. And Harry Kane, by the way, scoring 267th goal for Tottenham a goal scorer for him. Just a shame that he might end up not winning any club title, for Tottenham Hotspur. But a good one for Arsenal. They lost away from home against Everton. I've always been skeptical when your team is playing against a club that just changed the manager, and for Sean Dyche, we know what Sean Dyche is going to do with the players at Everton. Everton on paper, they don't have a bad team. If you look at it, it didn't just work out with Frank Lampard and the boys. And Sean Dyche has come in. Will they be able to push them away from the relegation zone? That is left to be seen. But Arsenal lost. Things like this will happen. You don't expect them to go on 38 games unbeaten. This is the second loss this season. The last time the loss was against United, I think in September thereabout. But just like you said, it ended on a positive note. With City losing away from home. Once again, Pep overtaking things. Boy, that's to the advantage of Arsenal.
Well, of course, Arsenal losing their first game since September. Of course, that last loss to Manchester United now sees them have lost 2 games this season, having won 16 and drawing just the 2 games. 50 points remains the total points accrued for the Arsenal team, and of course, they still remain 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. What about Manchester United? Got a win there, very hard-fought win against Crystal Palace, and I'll tell you what, right? Casemiro would not love to see Crystal Palace because every time he plays them, something ridiculous has happened to him, right? But very good win for United. 2-1. Marcus Rashford continues his goal-scoring form, and it looks as if, though, I see United fans saying we're now in the title race. Is that something that you laugh at, or you take them seriously when they say that?
When you look at it, 8 points behind Arsenal, though they played a game more than Arsenal. They have another game coming up, a rescheduled game against Leeds United. You can't fault them for believing. I mean, everyone hoped that Arsenal would drop points, and City this season don't look like a team that are serious. And it's like Pep just wants Mikel Arteta to win the Premier League trophy. Maybe he's tired and has a bigger.
Don't say that in England.
Maybe he has a bigger fish to fry, just like Real Madrid fans have been saying that they have the Champions League, to fry. So just maybe. But United, they're a very, very strong team, and Marcus Rashford is firing on all cylinder right now. You don't want to bet against United. Trying, still hoping that Arsenal can drop with her, City can drop with her and win the league. But as an Arsenal fan, I don't think United can win the league.
Well, we've got to give high praise to Manchester United and, of course, Newcastle, as well as Tottenham Hotspur, who pretty much saved the day from an Arsenal point of view. If you know what a good neighbour is, that's what Tottenham were to the Arsenal. Well, of course, things still pretty much looking very interesting in the Premier League, and we'll keep an eye on that. Chelsea couldn't quite win their first game after a splurge in the winter transfer window. That 0-0 draw to Fulham wasn't quite the most impressive one, and Modric getting yanked off at half-time. Let's get away from that now. Let's touch base with Spain, where Real Madrid, losing a goal to nil against Mallorca. We're going to talk about that very quickly because we're going to touch base with Italian Serie A. What's going wrong there? Since the World Cup, they haven't quite gained their momentum. Benzema is not in action. They're not quite the Real Madrid. And look, Champions League around the corner. They need to now start picking up points because Barcelona are going to run away with this thing.
Nah, they're running away with it as it looks like around 8 points ahead of Real Madrid. I don't think there's anything Real Madrid. I think psychologically and at the back of the Real Madrid mind, I think they feel that the league is gone. Yeah. Let's just focus on the Champions League. And I think
is the league really gone though?
I mean, 8 points. Against Barcelona with all the players.
With 18 games to play.
Yeah, with 18 games to play. You don't expect Barcelona to lose. And you won't lose games. I mean, you're still going to lose games. I'm very sure of that. And maybe the only game you can think of where, if we're close to them, salvaging the season, they say their Clasico. Well, okay, you beat them at their Clasico. That's 5 points behind them. And with what we've been seeing with Barcelona, they are not going to drop points again this season. So the league is done and dusted in the Spanish La Liga. Barcelona, for me, Spanish La Liga tired winners.
Let us know your thoughts. Get on social media. Let us know if Barcelona would go away with this title before we get to the 38th match day, or would it go down to the wire? Stranger things have certainly happened as far as football goes. 8 points clear is what Barcelona currently have on Real Madrid. Let's touch base with Italy, where, look, I've been keeping an eye on Italy more than anything these days, and I've got to say that this kid, Victor Osimhen, his price, keeps going up every match day now. 3-0 against Spezia, and at the moment, 56 points at the top of the table. They're not relenting. They're just blowing teams away. They're not taking prisoners. And he's the best striker in the world at the moment. Definitely. There's no one better than him.
Definitely. For a team that lost Lorenzo Insigne, Dries Mertens, and Fabian Ruiz, you probably think that they will struggle.
Yeah.
And Inter Milan added Lukaku into the squad. I probably think Inter will challenge AC Milan.
Yeah.
But Napoli are running away with the league, and that's because they've been able to keep all their players fit this season. For Asteria,
what's the lead down? 13 points?
Yeah, 13 points. Over Inter Milan, and Osimhen firing on all cylinders. He has played 17 games this season. At this stage of the season, Osimhen had not played this much. Even last season, he didn't play this much last season, and it's showing. It's showing in the team.
There's something about him now. I've noticed. I'm not sure if you noticed as well. He's not expending his energy in areas where he's not needed. He's very, professional. Stay in the box. conserving his energy, and what the technique is got. When the ball comes in there, I'm not sure there's any central defender in the world that can cope with him.
Maybe Alan.
No, central defender.
Okay, central defender. No central defender can cope with him. Especially when you have the supporting cast of Anguissa, behind you. You have Frasteria by your left. You have Lozano or Politano by the right. You know that they're going to feed you balls and you're going to score. And look at the third goal he scored against Spezia. He waited as a goal poacher, and that ball came and he converted. It's a shame thing. It's a sad thing that for those that are going to sign him summer, I mean, he has just added extra £10 million.
Put a price on it. Put a price on it. If you're Real Madrid, if you're Barcelona, you want to sign, how much will you quote? If you're
looking at 120, 150 right now, because players that are not even playing very well and are playing up to what they've gone.
How much did Mudryk go for a game? £100 million. Yeah. Anyone who's going to sign a Seaman is going to pay through their noses, that's for sure. But definitely Napoli, 5 wins on a bounce, and it's quite incredible what they're doing. They've blown everybody away, and I mean everybody. They beat everybody in their wake, and it looks as if this league might be wrapped up way before they expect it to. But that aside now, what is I always leave it open. What is the one big action from Europe that caught your eye this weekend?
I think that's Wolverhampton Wanderers beating Liverpool 3 goals to nothing, and we didn't see that coming. Yeah, we know Liverpool are struggling, but Wolverhampton Wanderers, they're not the biggest team when it comes to the Premier League. They are also struggling, but you expect Liverpool to beat them. But scoring 3 goals and Jurgen Klopp coming out to tell us,
is he going to get fired?
I don't think they're going to fire him. Maybe at the end of the season they're going to review everything. That's if they're not doing that already and see that I think this is how far this coach can take us. This is how far this player can play under this coach. I think they just need a bit of a refreshing to be done in the team. New players brought in and the coach also change. I think Jurgen Klopp has overstayed his welcome in the Premier League. He has tried. At least he pushed Pep Guardiola, even though they won just one Premier League title. But I think it's over. The wedding should be
should be dissolved, right? Yeah. Well, of course, one of my personal favorite moments this weekend was Harry Kane scoring his 267th goal for Tottenham Hotspur, 200 in the Premier League, which is quite incredible. He now joins Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney as one of 3 in that remarkable elite class, one of the best strikers in the last 10 years, that's for sure. So, of course, trust you enjoyed Sports Pizza. We're going to pick our play of the week, and of course, we always have you be a part of that as well. Let us know if you enjoy it. Welcome back, and it's time to say our goodbyes here on Sports Beast. I trust you enjoyed what we picked as our play of the week. And Danny, always a pleasure to have you here. Definitely. I totally enjoyed the great blitz we had, all the way from the MPFL 10 tournament. Congrats to Senegal as well, and of course Tottenham, and of course Arsenal in the mix as well. My name is Yubi, and so we'll see you next week, same time, same place, next station. And of course, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.